So if you have never applied for federal financial assistance before, this slide is the most important one in this deck. Immediately after this webinar, if your organization does not already have a SAM registration, please start that process. The GSA, who maintains the SAM.gov website, has been experiencing some pretty significant delays in processing new registrations. So do not delay. Make this an urgent priority because the regulations prohibit us from making awards to organizations that don't have a registration. So this is critical. Almost as critical, only slightly less critical, is your grants.gov registration. The NFO has detailed instructions for registering. When you open an account, you also have to make sure that you have the right roles assigned to the various folks who can actually submit an application on behalf of your organization. So once you have your account, don't stop there. There are several more steps that you need to take in order to be able to actually apply through grants.gov. Okay, so as you're developing an application, the NFO is going to be your best friend. Read it very closely. It contains almost every bit of information you will need to develop a successful application. There are instructional appendices in the related documents tab of the NFO. Those include detailed agency-specific guidance on how to complete some of the required forms, such as the FS 424, which is the application for federal financial assistance, SF 424A, which is a budget breakdown document, and then a budget narrative. In this project or in this program, partnerships are really important. And so I just want to call out that it's a requirement that you provide commitment letters for all of your project partners. Sometimes that's not a component of NFO requirements. And so I just wanted to highlight that, make sure that you don't overlook that. The NFO has an email address that you can use to submit questions. However, I also want to point out that the website for this program has FAQs, and we will be updating those periodically throughout the application period. If you have a question, please look at the FAQs before you send a question into the email address. We are anticipating a very significant number of inquiries, and it will help us keep the FAQs up to date and on a more regular schedule. I'll let you know right up front that we can't give any comments about the merits of a particular proposal. So we can't give you advice about how to structure it or whether, your various ways that you might consider structuring your project, what would be beneficial. We can't provide that advice because it's a competitive, this is a competition and we need to maintain the integrity of the competition. Similarly, we can't evaluate an organization's eligibility prior to receiving applications. So all applications have to go through grants.gov. And as I said, there are really specific instructions in the NFO for how to make that happen. To be considered for funding, you have to submit all of the required forms in one complete application through grants.gov. Your application may not be considered at all if you don't submit all of the required materials. Grants.gov issues emails to you after you submit an application. It'll give you a receipt number. It'll assign a number to the grant. It'll send you a message to let you know that it was successfully submitted. And then once the agency logs into grants.gov and downloads those applications, you'll get one final email confirming that. Please do not wait until the last day to apply. I cannot tell you how distressing it is when organizations miss out on opportunities like this because they waited until the last minute and then encountered a technical difficulty and were not able to submit their application. So don't, start early, apply early. Give yourself at least a couple of days to make sure everything went through and there's not any correction that you have to tend to in order to get your application through. In the NFO, this information is included in the NFO, but if you need some additional support, you can go to grants.gov and see some training on their website about how to access the or use the portal to make applications. There's also some grants, general grant related educational opportunities on the cfo.gov website there in the second bullet. Both of these, particularly the second resource there, is quite beneficial if you are not familiar with federal financial assistance. I will say that unfortunately, because grants.gov and SAM are not maintained by USDA, they're maintained by other federal agencies. The program officials and the grants management staff will not be able to provide support for you. We simply don't have access, like the access permissions to help you through that. But you can contact grants.gov directly, and you can contact staff who maintains the SAM website. So that's the end of my portion of the presentation. I will send it back over to Kara to close this out.